Good morning, everybody. Today's reflection is on Jesus' relationship with beggars. How do we read our Bible? Do we read it for the teachings it can give us? Do we read it for the marvellous stories and characters each book contains? The answer is probably yes to both. However, the Bible also gives us an historical view of what life was like in Jesus' time. It's good to see some things have moved on since then. But there's one problem that's still very evident today, and that is begging. Before the lockdown, if you walked through any high street, you would have seen people begging. Comes in different guises, from the big issue seller to the quiet person with a sign telling you their plight. Also the person that will come up to you and ask you for change, for some food or a cup of tea. In my time as a shopkeeper, I've dealt with many people who stole from my shop because they didn't have enough food to eat and they were too proud to beg people for it. It's a heartbreaking and sad situation. The cynic in me sometimes feels cautious how genuine the beggar is. Should we just hand money over to them? Or should we buy them a meal or a drink? I try to give anyway. I'd rather be caught out than miss a genuine chance to help someone. I really believe it's our mission and reason for being, to help the less fortunate. Luke tells us in chapter 16 a parable of the rich man and Lazarus. Lazarus is a poor beggar who lives at the rich man's door and receives no comfort from a man who has plenty. The rich man does not even acknowledge poor Lazarus is at his door. The parable concludes with them both dying. The rich man goes to hell, and Lazarus is carried away by angels to heaven. The rich man asks Lazarus if he can help him, but the response is almost brutal, along the lines of, "You had your chance to help Lazarus in life. Now you must accept your fate." I look around us now, and do we just ignore the beggars at our own door, the ones in front of us? Do we feel overwhelmed by it all and do nothing? We live in a time when there has never been so many ways to show the plight of others to us. Newspapers, radio, social media and television, to name but a few. Do we view the causes of the poverty and begging so big that we cannot make a difference, so we don't try? In Jesus' time, he was fully aware of the causes of poverty, the attitudes towards the sick and the needy, but it didn't make him turn away in despair. Jesus carried on helping the ones in front of him. Beggars like Bartimaeus, a blind man that called out to Jesus as he passed by. Jesus replied to him, but his faith has healed him. We should be like Jesus. Try to fix the big issues as much as we can. Talk to our politicians. Buy products that give a fairer chance to the workers that made them. But not be blind to the person outside our door that needs our help. It's quite depressing to think we have so much need and poverty around us in this modern age, when there is so much wealth in the world. But as Jesus said, the poor will always be with us, almost like a challenge to us to keep helping, and instead of feeling down about it, we should try even harder to help our fellow man. When we think about the parable of Lazarus, is the door he sits outside the door to our hearts? Does salvation come to our door, dressed in the rags of a beggar, wounded and hungry? Is Lazarus really Christ begging for our hearts and freedom for our souls? So instead of erecting walls, we are called to build bridges of charity for the poor, for Christ, the ultimate beggar. Instead of watching the poor with annoyance, let's welcome him with love and sharing. And finally, by opening the door to our neighbour, we will be able to open it to Christ, the God who is always with us and that is closer to us than we are to ourselves. Instead of finishing with a prayer today, I'm going to finish with a poem. Encouraged by the word of promise to the poor, behold a beggar, Lord, waits at thy mercy's door. No hand, no heart, O Lord, but thine, can help or pity wants like mine. Thy thoughts, thou only wise, our thoughts and ways transcend, far as the arched skies above the earth extend. Such pleas as mine men would not bear, but God receives the beggar's prayer. Take care today.